Hello, everyone. My name is Gaurav, and tonight's story is in Urdu. I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not. And it goes like this. फिर चली है रेल स्टेशन से लहराती हुई नीम शब की खामोशी में ज़हर लब गाती हुई डगमगाती झूमती सीटी बजाती खेलती वादियों कोहसार की ठंडी हवा खाती हुई फिर चली है रेल स्टेशन से लहराती हुई. And the train leaves the station, breaking the deep silence of the dark night, singing in all its charm through the cool winds of the mountains and the valleys. These are just first two lines of the beautiful poem Raat O Rail, Night and the Train, written in Urdu by Asrar ul Haq nearly 100 years ago. And this is very special to me. You ask why? Because I love trains. I was born and brought up in Delhi in India and lived about half a kilometer away from a railway station. And as a kid, I would wait to visit my grandparents. Now, not that I love them or anything. I mean, I somewhat did, but primarily for two reasons. First, we would cross a river on our way. And second, we would travel by train, an electric train that had a particular smell of its own. And it was a mix of filth, frying food, diesel for some reason, fresh masala chai, and God knows what. And I somehow liked it. You know, white coconut meat being sold on the trays, the loud noise of the absolute chaos of the railway stations, the announcement of arrivals, departure, and delays in a funny, monotonous voice, following ding, ding, dong, watching and waving at complete random strangers from the window of the train. I mean, in India, trains' doors are often not closed, and you could hang outside holding the bars on the sides even when the train is moving. So, standing at the door, holding on to those bars tightly when the train is moving over a bridge on a river or maybe through a tunnel, these all were the rewards of a train journey. We would often throw coins to those rivers as prayers. Now, sometimes I would throw them, and sometimes I would hide them in my pocket to secretly munch on sweets later. Well, summer vacations were the best time of the year. No school for 2 months, and we would go on a pilgrimage in the Himalayas by train. And that was an annual ritual until my mother passed away, and we never revisited ever again. It was abandoned for any of us kids to visit railway station all by ourselves. I would often visit there with my father on his bicycle to get milk from the vendors from the nearby villages who would travel to the station to sell their dairy products every morning. Why I was not allowed? Maybe my parents thought they were scared that I might get lost or kidnapped or die, or even worse, make bad friends. However, whenever cousins visited us during vacation, we would visit a park that was very close to the railway crossing. And from the park, as a 6-year-old, I would see trains passing by. One evening, we agreed to set out for our life's ultimate adventure, to visit a railway station all by ourselves and walk on the railway tracks. It was a promise. No one is going to tell anyone. And no one did. Until a fight broke off during a cricket match and all the secrets were revealed one by one in the pursuit of revenge. Well, we got some thrashing, but now I was even more determined to visit again by myself. There was a shrine my cousin would visit every Thursday to perform certain rituals, and one of those days, my mother agreed to send me with him and offer prayers to the shrine. And that was my day. Suddenly, I was feeling like a grown up at the age of 7 or maybe 8. On our way back, my cousin challenged me to walk on the railway track when there stood an engine all fired up, ready to move any moment. In the hype of that moment, I accepted the challenge and started walking on the railway track, one base plate at a time. Now I was talking to him walking on the rails, and before I could even realize, the engine was right behind me. The pilot blows a loud air horn. I just turned to look back, and the engine crashes into me, and I fell on the ground, on the track. Fortunately, the engine stopped in time, and I survived. That was the first realization of why my parents never allowed me to go by myself. They knew I was stupid. Well, years passed. I started playing cricket for railways for my town. The cricket field was right next to a diesel shed where trains from all over Delhi would come for servicing and other works. And secretly, I would admire those pilots driving the engines in and out of that diesel shed and think of being myself one day. Well, never happened. 10 years ago, when I was about 22 or something, one of my friends had a summer internship in that diesel shed. Now, when I got to know about it, I decided to accompany him the next day to see for myself what happens in that diesel shed. The following day, I entered the diesel shed for the first time, and it was huge, the size of a village, with dismantled engines, coaches, cranes, giant forklifts everywhere. It was like a paradise. I also figured out no one cared about interns, and we were so many, no one knew who's who. Everything is fine until you know the answer to any question you are asked. I'm the new intern. Whenever, wherever. So I visited the next day, and then the next, and then one more, and then once again. I visited for the whole week, despite not being registered anywhere in their books. And during that week, I learned everything about the engines, their architecture, control, repair, brakes, shunting, valves, and so much more. On the last day, the workshop supervisor who explained the shunting process to us earlier was going to demonstrate it and needed 2 volunteers. Yours truly was chosen to be in the engine WDS-4, a white diesel shunter that was stationed there since the time before I was even born. Our job was to assist in starting the engine, drive a kilometer, change the rail, push 3 coaches back to the shed, and shunt them with the passenger train. That was like a dream. It took us 1 hour to start the engine. Now, I study oceans. I'm an oceanographer. All I know is mimicking the sound of the train at best. But I did speak decent English. And if you talk about anything in English in India, people automatically think that you know more than you actually do. Our supervisor agrees. You take the control and I'm right behind you if anything happens. Fair enough. Check the air compression, pressure in the hydraulic pipes, gearbox. Push in the key, turn left, push the 3 black knobs on the left. Look at the rails, watch the signal. Push the 2 red buttons, pull the left chain and release the pressure and go. The train starts moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 kilometers an hour. The speed limit is 15. So we were still well under. There is no autopilot mode. Keep eyes on the pressure valves, release the air pressure and keep the focus on the track, came the instruction from behind. Well, he made sure the change of rails was smooth and bam, happened the collision. Engine rammed into the 3 coaches. Hey, that was planned. I know how shunting works, okay? The next part of the journey was simple driving in reverse. Everything stays the same, it's just that there's a lot more conversation happening in the train, in the inside of that engine. We pushed the 3 coaches back to the shed after them being cleaned and ready to be attached to the train that connects Delhi with the nearby villages, the same one that used to bring milk every morning. Well, I don't know how to drive a car, but hey, I know how to drive a train. And trust me, no one was harmed in the making of this story. Thank you.